Okay guys, this is Terry Pike with 2006 Suzuki Forenza. We're continuing on with the process of getting this thing together. Now, if you may remember, this engine has been sitting down for a little while here, probably about 4 months now. Anyway, so I wanted to be sure that I can get some oil up in here, so I want to spin the engine over. I don't want it to start up, and so I thought what I'd do is just show you what I've done here. Okay, this is the wiring diagram. Now let's start down here. You see right here's the starter motor. Now what I want to do, here's a solenoid. This here is going to get 12 volts ignition. And look right here, you see it's going through a connector, C108. It's on pin 6. You look right here, you got a Y. That means this is the color of the wire. So it's a yellow wire going down to the solenoid. Alright, you go to the other side of the connector here. Now notice this here curve. This curve means this is the female side of the connector. Okay, continues up, goes to pin 53, C202, and then if you look, then it splits off. Now this has an automatic transmission. So this here is a manual transmission right here. So if that applied to us, we would go down here. Since we don't have a manual transmission, we don't have a neutral safety switch. So it's going to continue. We're going to go up through here, going through this contact on this here relay. This is a park neutral position relay. This is for the automatic transmission. That's to ensure that you're in park or neutral before this thing will start. So I don't want to turn the ignition key, and I could disable ignition. I could disable the relay and pull the fuel relay out or pull the fuse out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this ignition switch off. All right, so here's how we're going to turn the engine over. And with the switch off, ignition switch in the off position, we're coming down here, so I need 12 volts right here. So I'm going to take a remote starter switch, and I need 12 volts to come from here to go to here, get 12 volts, turns the starter, and that will turn the engine over. Therefore, no fuel, no ignition will be going to the spark plugs, which is what I want. Now, one thing that I found out is that this starter is buried down up underneath this intake manifold. I tried to get down here to this solenoid terminal, but it's just about next to impossible. All right, so I backed up. I said, okay, let me try to get this connector. So this C108 connector is located right over here. Okay, now what you're going to find is that the connector is mounted right in here. Okay, so it's real easy to get to. It's got one 10 millimeter bolt right there. So I just took it up. Now looking over the diagram, I wanted to ensure that this connector was this connector. So I went to a connector view. All right. Now, I know this doesn't look that great. When you blow it up, it doesn't look too good. But I've got all the pin numbers. I wrote them out, okay? And you can see it's a 24 pin connector. It's black. It is black. It does have 24 pins. I opened this up, verified. And if you remember, it's on pin 6. Now, pin 6, if you remember, is a yellow wire, which is right here. Pin 6 is a yellow on both sides of this connector. This is the female. The curve is female. This side here is a male. Okay, now let me take this here off for a second. Now you can see there's a yellow wire. This is pin 6, and you can see here's the other yellow wire coming out on this side. Okay, now I just took a straight pin and I just stuck it down in there to get the side of the wire. So I'm back probing this here pin, this wire connection right here. All right. Now I'll show you what I've got here as far as a remote starter switch. Okay. I'm hooked up to the plus terminal, and then I'm going to connect to right here, which is going to be that solenoid terminal. So in effect, what we're doing is I'm taking the plus voltage that's right here. If you follow it, it'll be the same as down here. And I'm taking and jumping 12 volts from the plus on the battery, and I'm coming over here to the start terminal on the solenoid. So once that gets 12 volts right here, this here engine is going to start turning over. Okay? So let me go back and reconnect. Okay. All right, let's make sure everything looks good. Cable's out of the way. All right, crankshaft sensor connector, he's out of the way. Everything looks good. So let's whip the engine over. All right, let's take a look around here on the front side. Ready? Okay, over here on this side, on the timing belt end, let's take a look at our tensioner and idler, see how everything is looking. Okay. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just for safety, I'm just going to disconnect the negative side of the battery cable. Okay. All right. Okay, now let's get this connector back down in here. I've already got the antifreeze put in here. Coolant capacity is 7.9. Of course, we'll have to put some more on here once the engine gets cranked up and running. And what you want to do is you just put it right in here, fill it up. There's no radiator cap on this engine. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to work up on the valve cover here. Get the gasket in. All right. It turns out that I thought I may have to put some Vaseline in here, but it is actually holding itself in there pretty good. The gasket actually has little ribs here sticking out, so it actually holds itself in there pretty good. Okay. Now, let's put a little bit of Vaseline on there. If you don't know by now, you can tell I'm a big fan of Vaseline here. Okay.
Vaseline King.
So let's get a little thin layer on there. Now, one thing that I did find out on this here is that this here actually had a TSB. That's a technical servicing bulletin that they had put out on these here valve cover, leaking pretty badly. So that got my attention up a little bit. So what I did is I did a little bit of research. Okay, and in the process I found out there's a lot of people that had these here valve covers that were leaking. So I went into forums, started reading, researching, seeing what people's complaints were, and you know, basically valve cover leaking. But why? You know, they put new gaskets on here, okay? Some of them didn't put the O-rings on here. Okay, that was understandable. Well, a lot of them was talking about that this thing was filling up the spark plug wells up. Oil coming out on the outside here. Well, that sure didn't make no sense. They're using a new gasket. I assume they put it on correctly, okay? Then I ran across one guy said that the bolts were actually too long, that they would actually bottom out, okay? Bottom out, and when they bottom out, of course, then the gasket is not going to be, you know, sealed up. So that got my attention. Of course, I'm not taking his word for it. I'm going to find out and look into it myself. So here's what I did. I measured it up. I saw how far down these bolts will go, down into the threaded holes on the camshaft holes. That's 5/8 of an inch deep. Then I looked at the bolts, saw the length of that, measured it. Then I come back and I saw the thickness of this right here, took that into account. Well, after all the measurements and everything, I found out that there is 1/8 of an inch left before these bolts would bottom up. Now that is before you even start torquing it up. So, is it possible that the bolts could actually bottom out and hit the bottom of the hole before the torque is even reached, which is 71 inch-pounds? I would think so. So what I'm going to do is I like to get say about another 1/8 of an inch in there. So that'll give us a total of 1/4 inch. Okay, 1/4 inch for the bolt. You know, that'll take care of that should take care of us torquing this thing up, making sure that this gasket is actually going to seat. All right. So what I did is I went to Lowe's, got some 6mm stainless steel washers. Washers are 60 thousandths of an inch thick. Okay, so I'm going to put 2 of them on there. All right, 2 of them on each bolt. That'll give us almost that 1/8 of an inch plus the 1/8 of an inch is already there. So that'll give us a 1/4 inch. I think we'll be okay. So this thing should make up pretty good. Okay. All rings look good. Okay. Gasket looks good. Give it one final look over. Let's put this joker on. Okay. Alright. Make one final inspection. Make sure everything looks good to you. Okay. It looks good to me. Oh, by the way, here's something I found out that I did not know. That you're going to pull these camshafts out. It turns out that the manufacturer actually marked these caps. If you look right here on the top, this one here is marked 1. There's 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. So there was so much varnish on here, oil stains, I didn't even realize they were even on there. But that's just in case y'all wanted to pull the cams off and you don't have to actually mark them. Okay, be careful. All right, looking around on the side. Now the manufacturer was talking about, in the factory service manual, it was talking about putting some gasket sealer on top of the caps here, on the front caps, and some back here on the rear for the cylinder head seal. I think I'm gonna not even bother with it. I looked the gasket over. I think if everything is the way it should be, I don't think we even need that stuff on there. Okay, let's get the light. Make a little inspection. Make sure he looks good there. He looks good, he looks good. Okay. Okay, these are 6mm stainless steel flat washers. Okay. Now, I'm going to put 2 of these, as I mentioned earlier. That'll give me almost about 1/8 of an inch, plus the 1/8 that I know is going to be down there. Now, this is before we torque it up. So I think with a 1/4 inch that this bolt has to move down, I think we'll get this thing torqued up at 71 inch-pounds, and we don't have to worry about this here bolt bottoming out. So it's a good possibility that it very well could have been that these bolts are a little bit too long. So we're not going to take any chances. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put 2 stainless steel flat washers on there. Okay, so now we got the 2 M6 flat washers on here. Now, put your little bit of blue thread locker on there. I found out with these here plastic intakes, plastic covers, and the torque settings on these is not very much. So after a few months, these things will loosen up, they'll back out, and then the next thing you know, you're going to have an oil leak. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put a bit of Loctite on each one of these bolts. Okay. This thing should hold it down. Once we torque it down to 71 inch-pounds, then this thing should stay right there. Okay, another couple of washers. A little bit more torque, thread locker. Yeah. So I'm going to continue this process and I'll catch you guys in the next shot. Okay, these here bolts are E10. Got an E10 hand. Start in the center. Just work it up. Start in the center, work your way back out. Okay. Kind of a crisscross pattern here. I thought I would probably do this in 2 stages, probably 35 and then 71, but I think I'm going to divide it up into 3 in the torque. So I'm going to start it out at 25, I think, 25, 50, and then I'm going to do 71. Okay, what I'm doing now is I'm torquing them up. I'm doing the first pass at 25, starting in the center. Working my way out. Okay. Guess we'll get one there. Let's get one over here. Okay. Now let's crank them up. I'm gonna go to 50 now. 50. Okay, now let's finish it up at 71. Okay, there's 71. Okay, one more time. Okay, those are done. All right, let's put our engine support brackets on. It's got 2 of them. One's here, the other one's kind of cornered over there. E10. Okay, now this here other engine bracket, E10 head, is going to go right here to that bolt. But what I'm finding out is that with the purge solenoid mounted there, you can't get this inside. So to come back under here, just one bolt, no big deal. Take the bolt out, it's 12mm head, and then this way we can just kind of get him off to the side, and then we can come back in there, and then we can get this thing screwed in there. Okay, I want to get that in there. Let's snug it up. Okay. And now we'll come up here on the front side and we'll get this other engine bracket and we'll get him snugged up. Okay. Alright, let's take our crankshaft sensor cable here. Here's the little holders for it. There's one. It's one on the inside. Bring it up, snap it in, snap it in, snap it in. Okay. Now that one is going to go to this one right here. And he looks like he's going to go just like this. Okay. Now let's tuck him on down in there. Kind of my home. Okay. Now let's take our camshaft sensor connector, wire bail to the back. Okay. And this one here has a little holder right there. Okay. There. Now he's there. Okay. Alright, let's take our ventilation hose. Let's hook him up right here. Let's get a clamp down on there. Right there. Okay, looking good. Right. Let's get this here bracket for the power steering line. Let's get him secured. This has got a 10mm head on it. And for this, just snug it up. Okay, want to get your front timing belt cover. Alright, you want to make sure this thing is clean. Okay. More so on the inside. Okay. Now I've already done that. It looks good. So you want to make sure you get all your dust out. Clean it out. Put some brake clean on it. Make sure that everything is clean. Alright, now I'm going to take a little bit of silicone spray. There's a grommet right here. Rubber grommet. Fits right in there. Again, I'm going to spray it up. The reason for that, like I said, is just to keep the rubber soft over the years. Okay, want to take care of the excess. Alright, now we'll stick them back in there. Alright, there's a little one right in there. Okay, again, get your excess up. Okay. It'll soak down in there. Alright. And also, let's do a little bit on this here rubber all the way around. That'll help kind of seal it a little bit and also make it soft over the years. Keeps it pliable. Okay. Again, you want to make sure that you get the excess up. Okay. And then, let's go back. Let me get my air hose. Okay. Alright. Take his timing belt cover, bring it down. Make sure you slide it over this post down here. Okay. Then come back and snap your clips in place. There's one here, here, and then one over here. Okay, now get your two timing belt front covers. I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite on there. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's get him started up. Get the other one. Put a little bit on him. And you could probably get this bolt a little bit easier from underneath. Let's just give you a shot of this other front timing belt cover that's on the lower left. Okay. If I hadn't mentioned it, these are 10mm heads on these timing belt front covers, bolts, and torque is 53 foot-pounds. And it's already there. So now let's get the bottom one. Alright, next thing we're going to do is going to take this plate, timing belt little cover plate. It's going to fit right in here. Get your bolt, 10mm head. Also, let's get some Loctite on that. And come back. Just snug it up good. Alright, next step. We're going to put the engine mount in. Okay. Okay, everything looks good. Get you a little bit of Loctite. Got to put Loctite on all of this. Now these here 4 bolts are all the same. Goes in the bottom. And you want to try to clean these here threads out. Get as much of this old thread locker out as you can. Get it off your threads. That one will go right in there. Okay, all the heads on the bolts, the nuts in this bolt, 14mm. Alright, the torque on all of these is going to be 33 foot-pounds. Running back, make sure they're all okay. Okay, he's done. Now we're going to take and put the crankshaft pulley on. Let's put it up there. I'm putting Loctite on the bolts. Okay, now we're going to tighten them up. These are going to be torqued up to 15 foot-pounds. That's 180 inch-pounds. And also, this is a 6mm hex bit. So you can just use the 17mm wrench, hold it on the crankshaft. Okay, there's one. See if I can get that one up there. Okay, now what we're going to put on now is a serpentine belt. Now this is not drawn to scale as far as the way the pulleys are located, but this should be good enough. Start around your power steering pulley, go around your AC compressor, go around your crank pulley, and what you want to do, I found it's easier, just go ahead and take your tensioner, go ahead and pull it clockwise. It's a 15mm wrench. And what you want to do is pull it over. Get your helper while you're pulling this over. then go ahead and then just put it around your alternator and it'll slide right on. And this is what we got right now. So this is where we're at. So that's looking pretty good. Okay. I like to put in, especially in aluminum heads, I like to put a little bit of anti-seize on there. Now don't put this stuff on thick. Just put a thin layer on there. And don't get it up here, up in this area up in here. Okay. So that's all you want. Just a thin layer on there. Just wipe off the excess. Okay. Now when you put your spark plug in, always screw it by hand. Okay. And he did good. Okay, once you get them in, torque them up to 15 foot-pounds. Okay. Well, by the way, the gap on these is 39 thousandths of an inch. These are preset for 44 thousandths. I'm using Denso iridium plugs on these. Of course, the NKG and Bosch is what the car came with. Bosch, that is. Okay. We're going to put the spark plugs in. We'll start with the longest one first. This will be number 1. Here, just put you a little bit in there. This is dielectric silicone grease. Helps with the sealing a little bit. Biggest thing too that help with is when you come back to take these wires back off, it'll make it a lot easier. And let's find the little holders for them. Now don't you love it when you get aftermarket and it's not the same length? Number 1, by the way, is right here. Pause the silicone grease here. These are so short, really I don't think it matters. They come off easy enough. We might do something a little bit later with that. Alright, okay, the next one will be number 2. Put them down in the holder. And I think he wants to go. He wants to go right there. Okay. All right. Yes, the next one we'll get is number 3. All right, number 3. Let's put him right there. And number 3 is right here. Alright. Alright. Now let's get number 4. Put them in the little holder. Okay, how can we round him? Guess we'll do them that way. Let's tuck him down in there. And actually when they run parallel, that's when you can actually get the most inductive crossover. So the magnetic field of one wire will get induced into the other wire. So when they run parallel, that's the best way they're going to get the voltage induced. Put it at right angles to the magnetic fields being across at 90 degrees, then there's no way that you're going to get one wire going into the other. So that's kind of what I've done over here on this side, is I kind of crossed the wires to kind of minimize some of this stuff. Now of course right down in here, there's nothing we can really do about that. It's just the way it is. But we should be okay. The wire should be pretty good shape, you know, for shielding. So we shouldn't really have a problem there. Okay, looks like we are done. All right, let's put on our spark plug cover. Okay, looks good. Okay, you got two socket head bolts, 5mm hex bit. We'll take care of that. Just take and snug them up. No need for no torque on this thing. Okay. Looking good. Okay, next step, we're going to put the cleaner box in. This is going to be this item right here. Okay. All right. One of the bolts are going to go right here. The other bolt's going to go right over here. So we're going to take our duct here, get them placed over that one. Get that one lined up. That looks good down there. Now your bolts, this one right here, what's got the shoulder, is going to go down here. This one is going to go right over here. This one down in here. Remember, this is the one that had the shoulder on it. As I mentioned, this one here is a 10mm. Just snug it up. That's good. The one down here on the right is a 12mm. Again, just snug them up. Alright, let's take our air cleaner. It's a new one here. And just drop them in there. Alright, we're going to take the top of our air cleaner box and we're going to sit him right on the top. Okay. Alright, an 8mm socket will take care of these. Just snug them up. One more time just to make sure. He's good. He's good. And he's good. Okay, now we're going to put the resonator on. First we're going to put it down over top of the throttle body. Let's pull this back. Maybe we'll put them over here first, I guess. Now. Okay, he's good. Let's go ahead and get our hose hooked up. Okay. Now let's tighten up some hose clamps. Let's go ahead and tighten this one up. This is a 1/4 inch socket. Okay. Now let's get this one that's up here on the throttle body. This is also a 1/4 inch socket. This is on the throttle body hose clamp. Okay. He's good. Okay, let's get this hose clamp slid back up on this ventilation hose. Right there. Okay, looking good. Okay, now that we got the resonator hooked up, let's go ahead and get the incoming air temperature sensor hooked up. Wire bail on the top, push it down, let it go. Now it's locked. Okay, let's put our splash shield on. Alright, this is how it's going to go. Just like that. Alright. You're going to put this piece here, right in between behind there. And find a hole. I'm going to put this bolt right here, right in there. Okay, now we got another bolt. The same kind of bolt. He's going to go over here. Alright, I got some new fasteners here. About the time you use one, these fasteners about one shot deal, and then they're over with. So I got some new ones here. This is what I'm using right now. Okay. Made by Dorman. Okay. Let's carry you up underneath the car. Alright, there's one here, and there'll be one here. I've already got this one started. Alright, he's gonna stay there. Let's see if we can't get one more up in there. Okay. I believe that's got them. Alright. 10mm head on those. Get those snugged up. Okay. That's nice and solid. I like it. Alright. We are done. Okay. Well, if you look over the engine, you can't even tell that we even been here. Hope you guys had a good experience watching the videos. I enjoyed the project, and hopefully some of you guys might have learned something out there. I haven't cranked it up yet. Hopefully we'll do that tomorrow. It's getting pretty late here, so we're going to wrap this video up, and we'll probably do one more video just to show it running. Do some other little things, checking it over, getting a coolant right, making sure it's topped off, checking the oil level, you know, going through, making sure there's no leaks and going through that kind of stuff. And so I think I'll do one more video on that. One thing I'm a little bit concerned with is this here idle speed. Anytime you take it, clean it, if you change your TPS or anything like that, then you have to go through an idle relearn procedure. Yeah, it's not too bad. The only thing is about clearing out the adaptation codes for that. I don't have a scanner for that. Hopefully leaving the battery disconnected for as long as it's being, maybe it'll clear that out. Of course, if it's in flash memory, then it's going to be in there. So hopefully we won't have an issue with that, but we'll see how it goes. So anyway, that's it. We'll see you, one more video I think we'll do, and we'll wrap this one up, and we'll see you guys later. All right, y'all have a good one.